Hey, today we are going local. Oh. Yes, we are doing Banku. We've done Etel on this channel before, but today we're going to do Banku. And we're doing Banku from scratch because we have some ultimate okra coming up. And we need to do our Banku before we do our okra. Yes, so the Banku takes a bit of work to do from scratch. Now that's how it's actually done. So you need to buy your maize first. You need to wash to make sure you take all the dirt and stuff from it. Then you soak your maize with a lot of water for 3 days, which I like to do. I start from the night, so I do like 2 nights and 1 day. Then when you're done, you need to wash it up and then take it to the mill to get it well milled. If you're not going to go to the mill, then you need to have a very good blender or processor at home. Yes, but the mill always does a good job for you. So yeah, that's how you get your mori. When it comes from the mill, you need to make sure you open it up and let it cool down. Now once it's cooled down for a while, you just need to add in a little bit of water to bring it together, because you're not going to keep it in the flour form. You want to keep it a bit compressed, kind of. So just a little water. Don't use too much water, else your mori is going to become too pecha, 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 pecha. That's also not good if you're going to store it for longer. So yeah, you do this. Then when you're done, you want to compress it a bit at the top and level it nicely. Then you need to let it sit for a while for it to kakaka before you package and keep it. One thing to notice, when you do fresh mori like this, it's not great for Banku that day because so you need to let it sit for a while for it to ferment. So usually you want to use this the day after, or if it's fresh like this, it's pretty much the same formula for Ariesu. So we're going to teach you that very soon as well. So what you need to do for your mori the next day is your Banku. Yes, so I had the banche mori and then the bro mori. It depends on you, the measurement to use. If you want it very soft, you can have like a little bit of corn dough with more cassava dough. If you want it fairly soft, you could do half. So same part corn dough, same part cassava dough. If you want it a bit tough, you could have more corn dough, less cassava dough. Now you just want to make sure you mix this very well with your water, and then you're going to add in your salt. But please make sure that you don't use too much water. It's going to be too runny. If you use too less water, it's going to be very tough. But then you can always add in more water. So I did this over the CoalPot, and there are 2 ways or many ways you could basically go about your CoalPot lightening it. You could do it from the top or from the down. From the top, you could just use your polythene bags. So yes, we're talking about recycle, reuse, and we know that in Ghana, these are what is making our places dirty. So what you can do with your black polythene bag, which is not going to go degraded, is to use it for your fire. So yes, you just create a little hole, just put it on at the side, and it's going to burn. And I can also use from the base, you could use your racks or your used clothes you're not using anymore. You could just use that one down. You can just add a bit of kerosene to help you burn the material. Now you could equally use your abe, the palm nuts, the chaff that you get after making your palm nut soup. You can use that one as well as the base or on top. You can equally use some wood or yes, anything which is inflammable at the top to help you put on your fire. But me, the rubber works faster for me and quicker for me. So to kickstart, you need to make sure that yes, your cauldron goes onto the fire, your dadesen goes onto the fire with your mixture. And you need this iron rod, which is going to give it some sort of stability. Yes, so the rods are going to hold it for you as you sit and you drive, or you, however you want to call it. So for now, you need to stir your Banku. Once it goes on fire, you need to stir very well for it to form before you proceed. If you don't stir it well when you start, you may have lumps coming in. So you need to be careful. Now, once it gets to a point where you can't stir and it's too tough, what you'd want to do is to start itchy. And because we were saying cheat, some are saying paddling, some are saying driving. I will tell you what it is called later in the description button. So yes, check your description button for some tips. Check your description button for our social media handles, and check your description button for the key names I won't mention in this video. I want you to check it in the description button. So yes, when it forms to a part, you may want to add in a bit of water to soften it up. That's why I didn't use too much water in there. So yes, add in your water and then clean it, the surroundings nicely, and cover it up and let it come to boil. So that's water is also going to add up to the heat, because for banku, what is the most important thing here is heat going into it. Is a heat that's going to cook it. So you don't really need to cook it for so long. If your fire is good, your heat is good, and your temperature is constant throughout, it will cook faster. So yeah, once the hot water is boiled, you realize the heat coming out is super. So I just mix it, incorporate it again. Now it's going to look a bit basa basa when your hot water, you start mixing it up, but then as you continue, it's going to look nicely. Now once I'm done with that, I want to cover it a bit for a while for the heat to go in again, this time without the water, because I told you it's the heat that's going to cook it. So you just need a bit of heat in here to get it beautifully done. And I keep saying it's about your temperature. So make sure you're fanning your fire well so that you're getting constant heat. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is that for yellow corn, which we used in this video, it's how do I say it, to par yellow corn, it multiplies. So if you use a little, before you realize, it's become like double of it. So for yellow corn, make sure when you're mixing it, you don't do to the brim of your cauldron. It's going to have too much. Now you could use your foil in your plate and then scoop it in and do your circle balls in there. Or yes, you can just tear your margarine rubber, or your banku rubber as we call it here. You can tear the sides so you get it one side open. Then with your calabash or with your bowl, you can use it to scoop it, and then you tie it up. And yeah, that's pretty much about your banku from scratch. Now I hope you get ready, because we're going to eat this banku with okra, seafood inspired okra. Yay, welcome to your favorite cooking channel, Cooking with Abba. If you've not subscribed yet, yay Charlie, hit the subscribe button. No, hit the subscribe button. No. So yeah, today I'm doing my special seafood inspired okra. I'm a seafood lover. So if you're watching this, I hope you've watched the seafood handling video and you've watched how to do your banku. Yes, because this is best served with banku. And Charlie, everything is represented. Do some fish, some wele, some crab, some prawns, some, there was this one, there was no apple inside. But then my cuttlefish or my octopus was in there, like BBI bika fancy baze. I anything. So I'm going to teach you my seafood inspired okra. These were 3 points okra. Charlie, area. Oh my god. Why won't they do having that now? Yes, we're going to delve in. And I did it 2 ways. Yes, I did one, which is the green, but that was liver okra, green liver okra stew. And yes, that one was for my little boy. Yes, so this is super child friendly, baby friendly, and it's also healthy. Adults can eat it. It's super nice. Yes. Let me tell the truth, I ended up eating some myself. So yes, I just used some ginger, garlic, a bit of bell pepper to add to it. Then of course pepper. I like a lot of pepper in my okra. Yes, and onion. Yes, the okra, and of course your garden eggs. So you could do your okra in various ways. You could grate your okra like this. You could even decide to take the seeds out and blend that one and cut the skin. It depends on how you'd want to handle your okra. You could decide to dice it as well. So in this video, I grated one part and then I diced another part. So for me, honestly, I like the grated. I like the diced and the grated, and the one I place aside is not good. Yes, so sometimes when your okra sits for too long or when it's not too fresh, that's how it becomes a bit chaffy. So when you're buying okra from the market, usually you may want to let the ladies break the tail part to see whether it's a bit fresh and slimy if you are new to it. But then if you're not new, sometimes even by looking at it, you see whether it's fresh or it's not fresh. So you could grate it. And I prefer the grated when I'm working with children or if I'm doing the green okra. But then I prefer the diced because you can do more sizes, get more chunks, get more, yes, in there, texture in there than the smooth. And it's up to you how you'd want your okra in there. So you could cut your garden eggs into the sizes you want. And you realize for each one that I cut, before I cut, I make sure that I open it, I cut it into two to see in whether there's any worms in there or not. If it's fresh, you're safe, so you're not going to have any worms. But sometimes it may look good, but you go in and realize there are worms or something. So it's always good to cut through to see in before you dice. However, once it's very fresh and it's good, you could also decide to go circle, circle, circle to get a bigger chunks in there. I'm not a fan of having whole um ingredients in there, like just having a full chunk of the garden eggs in my stew. So I like to cut it instead. So I did a bit of circle circle in there as well, and yeah, that's also just going to give it some sort of color, presentation, and texture in there. So if you're a fan of garden egg and want it thicker, you could always mash those ones in easily. Yes. So yeah, like I was saying, make sure that before you start your okra, everything is well cut. And as you're cutting your okra, have your pan by the side with a bit of water and then be cutting it into the water. That's how to get your okra slimy. And for you not to say your okra, okra no ever sing them. So for my main stuff, yeah, let's go to the ingredients we're going to use at a prepping. So we're going to, of course, I like to use my local spices. So I've already done the diced garden eggs. I have a bit of Prekese in there. I already done. Then I had some sliced or diced onion and then green pepper or the bell pepper. Let me say it like that. And of course, my seafood galade. I had a bit of octopus in there. There was a bit of smoked herrings in there. I used a bit of smoked salmon as well. Then I had some beef in there, both the total beef and anyone you want to use, yes. And a little bit of Kako. Then I told you prep is always necessary for this meal. So I blended in my onion, garlic, ginger, pepper for the two as well. And for my little boy, yeah, I was thinking about it. The green okra, I used the liver, which was washed and cut beautifully. And my okra, as I was saying, whenever you're working with okra, cut it into your water. Don't just cut it and leave it there. And I was saying seafood gala. So there's crab, there's wele, there's Gizzard is from the land, it's from chicken. So it's not seafood, but then yeah, it's just going to supplement. There's some pearls in there. There's some sea snail in there. And the dime is the ruko. I've mentioned crab already, I think. So yeah, there was also smoked tuna. Yes, but then that was a bit on top. So of course, I added in my salt here. You need to be very careful of your salt. Yes, what I forgot to mention was when you're steaming all the sea stuff, which I've taught you how to steam, you should add in your beef in there or add in your beef to the okra when you're cooking it. But then I'd prefer if you put it in beef, if you're using Kako and all those ones, be careful with the salt. So the best is maybe to steam the salty stuff together with your seafood. Now for the green what I did was to cook up my liver. So I washed and cut. Then I used a bit of the green pepper sauce. As I say, green pepper sauce. Okay, technically. So the blended pepper, onion, garlic, and a little bit of ginger. Yes, for the little one, I made it a bit mild, so the pepper was not too much. I used a bit of it to marinate the liver, so I placed a bit around it and let it sit for a while. Then when it's cooking, so I placed some on it. Then I added in my salt, a little to taste, and a little beef just to give it some taste. Then I added the herrings in for it to cook a bit as well. I didn't really add any water, much water, because liver has its own. When it goes into the freezer, you take it out, it drains its own water. So I didn't really add water. Then I added in the okra and then the blended mix, and I allowed it to cook. So the most important thing when you're doing the green okra is to make sure that your protein is well cooked before you add in the okra, and then you add in your blended mix. So for me, I don't like to do okra with tin tomato or with fresh tomatoes. Yes, I'm not really a fan of it. But then you could do a little bit of it. Just be careful not to use too much of it. If you use too much of it, it causes tomatoes a bit acidic. It'll make your okra cut into one. It won't be very slimy. So be careful about the quantity of tomatoes you use in, or if you're considering to tomato, be careful the quantity you use in as well. So I've taught you how to season your seafood. Once that seasons, yes, you make sure you cook your okra just a little bit before you introduce it in, so that it doesn't take so long. So I just did it a little bit to cook it a bit, then I just introduced it into the seafood gala. So that's so once your okra is partly cooked, you just put it into your seafood. Make sure before you're introducing it into the seafood is already done, it's cooked before you put it in. If you don't cook your seafood very well, sweetheart, okra never say anything. So you need to make sure that your seafood is well cooked before the okra goes in. And for the liver doesn't take too long to cook. So liver within 15 minutes, 20 minutes is already done. So, and I made it cook very well before I added in the okra. So that doesn't take too long to cook. So for the green okra, it always takes shorter time. And for green okra, personally, I prefer you don't use so much of fish, which is very stubborn. Yes. So sometimes when you do this, the green, it tastes a bit some way. Yes. So be careful when you're doing the green, the type of fish you want to use or the type of protein you're using. Yes. So your green okra comes tasting nice. So yeah, I'm not doing green with the seafood. So, and I almost forgot. So I added in my cut garden eggs in there. Yes, that goes in with the okra. So I forgot. So I just added it in. After garden eggs, that didn't take too long to do. Then I dished out my okra, the green okra, into the small bowls. So you could just do this, keep it in the freezer, maybe once a week or something. Just take it out for your little one. Yes, you can do that for yourself as well. You just keep your okra in small bowls, or yes, a portion when you take out you can eat. That's one best way to handle it. Then you freeze it there. So it's always good to have these, they come in handy. Yes, and so every day you have the time to do the okra. So yes, you keep it in portions you could eat. You just take it out, let it thaw, then you work with it. So back to our seafood gala. Yes, our onions will go into our palm oil once it's heating up, and of course we added in the Prekese with the Kako, and of course I added in my garden eggs and octopus. I almost forgot about the octopus. I'd already pre-steamed the octopus. That's how come that one was aside. Yes. So everything goes in, you jumble it up.
and you allow the palm oil to also heat up. Then you add in the blended onion, pepper, ginger, garlic, just to stew it up a bit. So when that is almost cooked, before you introduce it back into your okra. So I always want to say, don't cook your okra on a very high heat. Especially then I'm being it. So be careful how you go about it. And for me, I say I don't really like tomatoes in okra. So I use a lot of onion, which gives it that sweet taste. And I use a lot of pepper, which gives it that kick in there. That's a trick for me. So yes, you need to just stir it up and let this cook beautifully. I've not added in salt because I'm using a lot of salty stuff in there. Now once your sauce is getting cooked, when the water is draining out, the moisture is going away, and the bubbles are becoming smaller, it's the best time to introduce your smoked fish in. So I used the smoked salmon in there, and they go in beautifully for it to cook. You don't want to have food and then the fish tastes so fishy. As a winter, and as it's not part of it. Uh-huh. So you need to let it go in early, let it simmer in well for the flavor and everything to go in and for it to cook beautifully with it before you add it up into the green mix. This is one way to go about it, and it always saves you that hassle. Yeah, so for okra stew, I think it's up to you, and it's just about getting things ready, putting them together at the right time. That is the main deal. I remember when I started cooking okra, I used to cook it with time. I was like, within 30 minutes, it should be done or something. But as you going into the business, you realize that no, it's not really always about time. You could do this shorter, depends on the heat you're using and yeah, the things you're using. So yes, the sea snails, I cut it into smaller chunks. Then my gizzard is also in there. My crab is also in there. I've got a bit of, let's see what else is in here. Ah, you see the octopus smiling there. Yeah, and see the okra. It's already very slimy. Yes. So if you want very slimy oats, I've taught you the tricks. If you want very slimy okra, I've taught you the tricks. Yes. And once that goes in there beautifully, give it some medium low heat and allow it to cook up by itself. And once it's overly done, just do it on very, very low heat for the oil to sit on top beautifully and for it to work. Now, even after a day, it's not going to go bad. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. So yeah, try your okra for your 3 points. This one there, it's a serious seafood gala. You see how slimy it is. Uh-huh. This is the result you want to get for your okra. So that's my special seafood inspired okra. And yes, try it with the banku as well. And just seriously healthy, seafood, the health benefit. If I start talking, yeah, you and Abba loves talking and just, but I'll do a special recap on that as well. The things you need to note, yes. So try this out, give me your feedback, give me your, yes, your take on it, and try it out and send in your reviews. They always come in handy. And lots of laugh from my team and I. Please do well to subscribe, do well to like, do well to share, do well to see me in the next food video because it's going to be lit and hot. Lots of laugh from my team and I. Mwah.